Well, thank you for joining us here on JoyNews Room. Now, members of the Ghana women's national football team are stranded in the United Arab Emirates following the sudden closure of the country's airspace amid escalating tensions between Israel, the U.S. and Iran. The Ghanaian delegation, comprising 25 players and 16 officials, was scheduled to face Russia on Tuesday and Tanzania on Friday, but both fixtures are now uncertain due to the situation. Let's get some details on that now, and joining me is the head of sport at JoyNews, Fenchio Tahiru. Fenchio, thank you so much, Fenchio. First, where exactly is the team in the region, and when did they arrive there?
So the team arrived in the UAE on Wednesday, just last Wednesday, for a tournament called the Pink Ladies Cup. It's an annual competition. It's made up of 4 teams. It's an invitational tournament. And they were invited to participate in the competition alongside Russia, Hong Kong, and Tanzania. And they were supposed to use that game as a preparatory, or that tournament as a preparatory competition ahead of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, which starts on the 17th of March, so later this month. And so the team went there on Wednesday, 25 players with 16 officials, and they played their first game on Saturday. That was yesterday against Hong Kong. They won that game by 4-0. Then later in the evening, after the match, the escalating tensions resulted in the reports that we saw, with several aspects or several areas in Dubai reportedly bombed by Iranian missiles. Now, the team is lodged at the Sheraton Hotel, 4 Seasons. It's at a city called Sharjah, but that city is slightly just outside of Dubai, also on the coast, and it's not exactly in the center of Dubai, but players that we spoke to this morning indicated that they could see smoke bellowing from a distance about 10 or 15 meters away. And they've been told to pack up all of their baggage in preparations for possible evacuation. As we know, the entire airspace of the UAE is closed, and all flights inbound and outbound are grounded. So the only means they can really use to get out of that place would be by road. And all of the neighboring countries they can go to by road as well are also under attack. So Bahrain, Qatar, the only place not under attack at the moment is Oman. But even with that, they would need visas issued by a consulate in order to be able to make it there. So as things stand, they're holed up in their hotel rooms with their baggage all packed. They had a training session this morning. That session didn't come off as they continue to stay in the hotel. And it's not said. The tournament organizers haven't officially called off the rest of the matches, but it's uncertain if they would play their second game, which is scheduled against Russia on Tuesday, as things stand.
Do we know if any attempts have been made by the GFA and the authorities here in Ghana to find a safer passage for them so they can continue with their preparations? Any info on that?
Yeah, the GFA officials have been told are working closely with the ministry officials, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and embassy staff in the UAE. At the moment, the only realistic advice that they're giving everybody is to stay indoors, stay calm, and wait for further updates. I think, as it stands, evacuation doesn't seem like a feasible solution, looking at what's happening in the entire region and seeing that it's not just happening in one country. And one other thing that the players told me is that where they were at this morning, several other people were now rushing into their hotel to try and check in there, and that the hotel lobby was crowded with too many people. The assumption being that where they stay now is probably relatively safer than other aspects of Dubai. And so it looks to me that the only solution at the moment is to try and get them to remain calm and hope that the escalating tensions can de-escalate and they can find a way out of there.
Thank you so much, Fencho. Tahiru Fencho is head of sports here at Joy News. Meanwhile, sleep has eluded many Ghanaians living in the UAE with continuous sounds of missiles fired from different directions. Despite the frightening development, we are yet to hear that a Ghanaian has been hit or affected. Kwesi Amwa is a Ghanaian living in the UAE. He spoke to my colleague, Collins Frimpong.
For now, everything is under control because missiles are not too normal to 50 and run and die. Kasi adani ebo and die. Now,
everything is under control right now, but we haven't been able to sleep since yesterday because missiles have been firing from all angles. The defense systems have been intercepting the missiles, so there hasn't been no harm so far. The US military base is very close to where I am, and a lot of Ghanaians are here. Everyone is fine. Some even expect to go to work.
Everything is under control. Everyone is fine. Don't know what happened, but
Well, the Foreign Affairs Ministry has issued a caution to travelers in a statement, and we'll put that statement shortly on your screen. And it reads, it was dated actually 28 February 2026. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is closely monitoring with serious concern the escalating hostilities in the Middle East. The ministry notes the ongoing coordinated military strikes by the United States of America and the State of Israel against targets within the Islamic Republic of Iran, as well as reported actions by Iran against Israel and United States military assets in the region, particularly in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. These developments have led to airspace closures, flight disruptions, and heightened security alert across parts of the region. Well, the government of Ghana calls on all parties to exercise restraint, de-escalate, and return to diplomatic engagement in the interest of protecting lives, ensuring economic stability, and lasting regional peace. The ministry advises Ghanaian nationals to avoid non-essential travel to and from the Middle East. Ghanaian residents in Bahrain, Israel, Kuwait, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates are urged to remain indoors where possible, comply with directives issued by local authorities, and exercise heightened vigilance at all times. Nationals in affected areas should avoid large gatherings and sensitive locations, closely monitor official communications, keep travel documents readily accessible, and maintain contacts with the nearest Ghanaian diplomatic mission. The statement goes on to say an emergency preparedness plan has been activated and assessments are ongoing regarding the evacuation of Ghanaians or of a member of staff of the Embassy of Ghana in Tehran, retaining essential personnel to coordinated assistance to Ghanaians in the Islamic Republic of Iran. The ministry and Ghana's diplomatic missions in the region remain available to provide consular support. Ghanaian nationals requiring emergency consular support may contact the numbers you see there on the screen. And this statement is coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the tension in Iran, between Iran and Israel. Well, joining us via Zoom is security expert Richard Kumado. Also joining the conversation is an international relations expert, Dr. Nanayao Mreko. Grateful for your time. Let me start with you, Richard Kumado. First, did the killing of the Iranian supreme leader come as a surprise to you? You may have to unmute so we hear what you say, sir.
That I was saying that definitely not. He was one of the reasons why the first bombs were fired, considering the fact that he is the leader of Iran and he has participated in some activities that the U.S. felt is very offensive. So if you remember, just before the strikes started, they make a tall list of who succeed who in case he was eliminated, because he knew he would be targeted. And so I wasn't surprised at all the names we are hearing and the list of people who have been eliminated by the strike from the U.S. and Israel.
What does this mean for the region, especially, and what United States and Israel stand for their position on Iran, and what it generally means for that region?
To the extent that Iran gave warning that they would target all the American bases, the reports we are picking up from last night to this morning is that a number of places have been hit within the region, and it's creating some level of tension and uncomfortable situations for all other places except Oman. All other places that have American air bases have been hit. That alone is not a good thing. It's going to affect not just the region, but geopolitical-wise, you can be sure that the Chinese and the Russians will come to the aid of Iran while the fight continues for a number of days. We are also told that some missiles have landed in Israel.
As well as Oman. We are picking information that some missiles also landed in Oman this morning. Yeah.
Exactly. So it means that all the regions have been hit. And to the extent that some of their missiles could hit Israel, some of the defense system may also have some level of vulnerabilities. We are talking about a long-scale war, but then again, in whose interest and who benefits from this? All wars have ramifications, and all conflicts have consequences. Every missile we see being dropped either on Iran or on Israel or within the region may have current and future ramifications to the globe. And I don't think that is right. And that is why, if you look at our foreign policy in Ghana, we believe that dialogue should be the way forward, and no bombs, and no bullets, and no guns.
One would have thought that once the supreme leader of Iran has been killed, that should end the war. But you say you see a long battle going forward. Why?
There have been succession plans. They have prepared for this for a very long time. They have people who will take over from him. One of his sons is apparently have been made a head to replace him in that regard. And these are people who have structured formations that ensure that the death of one do not stop whatever they want to do. But the point I've always been making is that if you want to go to war or you want to go to conflict, ask yourself, do you know who you are fighting and in whose interest? And what are you fighting for? You could realize that if you go into history and to where we are now, the subsequent of the fights they've had between Iran and Israel, this particular one could have been avoided, particularly when there were negotiations and dialogue on the table. Why the bombs sparked in the first place, we are yet to know, but it could have been avoided. I think the world is becoming too hostile, and many of these bombings and missiles may have future ramifications for the globe.
Okay, stay on for us. Let me go to Dr. Yao Mreko, who is an international relations expert. First of all, your initial thoughts on the tensions in Iran, or we can now call it war between Israel, Iran, and the United States. What's your initial thought on what's happening in that country?
Well, thank you for having me. I think that we've learned anything from the current U.S. administration, particularly Donald Trump.
Doc, you may have to reposition yourself a bit so we can hear you clearly, if you may take that again.
Am I audible?
Yes, better now.
All right, so I'm saying that if there is anything we've learned from this current U.S. administration, it is that particular characteristics of the Trump administration or Trump himself, that he's given up enough precedent to demonstrate that when he says something, he's serious about it and he follows through. And so this didn't come to me as a surprise because he himself he had locked himself in so many utterances that if he didn't follow through with it, he couldn't face that embarrassment. And so by attacking Iran, didn't me in the number of was ordered and the fact that it caused made a number of it didn't come to now what one that there is a domestic politics division and then there is the Israel factor. Don't be doing this in the interest of himself, but also in the dire interest of Benjamin Netanyahu and this whole idea of Israel lobby. Because so much playing into the gallery of Benjamin now, who is facing corruption cases, and his leadership is in crisis, in turmoil. I'm sure I can guarantee you from now to probably when this issue will be resolved, the corruption cases and all the bad news, go down. Even Trump himself, like I'm saying, there's a domestic politics happening. From now to probably the midterm election, issues concerning ICE that has been so devastating in the U.S., issues concerning the Epstein files, right? It's going to capitalize for the long. But then again, like I keep saying, this is not going to go well for the Trump administration, particularly heading to the midterm. So there is a whole lot of dynamics and a whole lot of nuance, but this hasn't come to me. And I'm thinking of the regional and the global ramifications, even for countries like us, in the global south.
What could be some of the ramifications for countries like us, Africa, and particularly Ghana, in terms of the shifting geopolitics as the issue unfolds?
Well, for one thing, if you want to look at it globally, this spells through for what we call the nuclear international order, or the rule-based order, or global peace architecture. It used to be based on Article 2, Paragraph 1 of the UN Charter, right? That the UN, the international system is basically on the principle of social equality, and that no state has the right to do what it has done, like what US has done to Iran. Venezuela, that goes down. It's just real relative in our here, right? The power do we can is what so.
Dr. Mreko, we appear to be losing you there on the line.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I think it's better. Just land on that point.
Right. So basically, global politics, international law, and everything is just being thrown under the bus because now might is right. But importantly, we know the kind of the economic architecture of Iran and how the Strait of Hormuz is considered to be one of the busiest spots for transporting oils to parts of the world, including our part of the world. And what it means if this place comes under attack, what it means for oil prices, globally. We've seen it during the Israel-Iran attack. We saw how immediately oil prices plummeted. And what it means is that if it happens that way, countries have spoken, they are part. So there's a whole lot coming one of what happened if it goes devastating. And
all right.
The Iranians that it strikes America and it.
Okay.
Let's happen.
Thank you so much. Dr. Yaw Mreko is an international relations expert. Let me give you the final word on security issues. Are there any lessons African countries, particularly Ghana, can learn from this particular conflict in terms of, security?
No, basically, I think our foreign policy a very simple part for us that says that we are friends of all and enemies of none. So even if you are talking about geopolitics, where lie our interests, our foreign policy designs that for us in terms of strategic alliances and where our benefits come from in terms of security, technical abilities, information sharing, intelligence sharing, and where we are going to get essential commodities. We followed our foreign policy, and I don't think we're going to have a problem at all, except that the general outcry will be that oil prices are going to go up. And to the extent that Tor hasn't come to full capacity, we will need to depend on others like Nigeria and some other places. This shows that overall, we will need to take energy security seriously as a country, and we also need to take our strategic alliances seriously in times such as difficulties as these.
You are not an energy expert, but you believe that this is actually going to have an adverse impact on our energy sector. What advice would you want to give to the government on that?
Well, definitely, Tor must come. I was happy when I heard Tor was making profit. Then I was also happy to hear that Dangote Refinery was also making profit and they were doing exportation. If Tor comes on full stream and we put in the requisite investment and have full capacity with a modernized equipment, then your energy security, which is a key national security infrastructure, you have dealt with it. If you also strike good deals with Nigeria or the Dangote refinery, then you can get some level of oil coming from there in terms of crises such as this. Considering the fact that we have the West Africa gas pipeline coming through, you will need to develop your gas energy in such a way that you do not depend solely on crude. Then you are taking care of your national security issues. But let me also say that if it will be possible, all our national teams, because of the impediments that the women are facing in UAE, all our national teams will have security consultants moving with them everywhere in the world. And some of these safety decisions can be addressed working together with the embassies everywhere they find themselves.
And that brings me to my next question, whether you think the government provided timely security updates to the team, looking at the time they got into the UAE and now that they are stranded. Do you think the government did enough with all the writings on the wall to prevent this kind of situation where we have the Black Queens stranded in that country?
No, I think we learned a critical lesson from what happened at Burkina Faso. So you realize that it is the responsibility of the embassies to put out a red alert or city alert and provide security information and warning signs to our citizens, whether those who are there already or those who are traveling in and out. But the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have taken the first step. And even though the letter you read was addressed specifically to people in Tehran, I think the regional balance has now made it more important that all embassies will have to tap into that letter until the new one comes from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, taking care of individual countries and the difficulties our citizens will face in any point in time. And that is the best way to go. So yeah, we have learned lessons. Yeah, security awareness has been very prompt. Dynamics change globally. And everywhere you find yourself as a traveler, I'm saying that the best place to get security tips and security warnings from is our embassies. And people must begin to register with our embassies and begin to rely on them for the first-hand information when it comes to safety, security, what to do and what not to do. And you are going to find safety in that.
Thank you so much, Richard Kumando. Grateful speaking to us here on Joy Newsroom. But still on Iran, the country has begun 40 days of mourning after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in ongoing attacks by the United States and Israel, according to Iranian state media. Top security officials were also killed in Saturday's strikes, along with Khamenei's daughter, son-in-law, and grandson. The killings mark one of the most significant blows to Iran's leadership since 1979 Islamic Revolution. Now, President Masoud Pezeshkian condemned the killing as, quote, a great crime, according to a statement from his office. He also declared 7 days of public holidays in addition to the 40-day mourning period. While other media houses have been reporting that people were pouring onto the streets of the capital following the news of Khamenei's killing. Protests denouncing Khamenei's killing were also reported elsewhere, including Shiraz, Yajuz, and Loristan. Well, away from Iran, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Janapo, has disclosed that Ghana is making strides in shifting from rain-fed agriculture to irrigation. Now, speaking at the 5th IRAD International Conference in Yankpala in the northern region, Mr. Janapo emphasized the need for collaboration between academia and government to achieve food security goals. He also pledged to partner with the University for Development Studies on a pilot project.
The 5th UAE International Conference is on the theme Water Resources, Climate Change Resilience and Sustainable System, with sub-teams focusing on water management, among others. The event brings together stakeholders from Africa and beyond to share research, ideas and innovations on climate resilience and sustainable development. Speaking at the event, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Janapo, announced that he will partner with the UDA to start a pilot scheme in his constituency.
We can move from rain-fed agriculture to irrigation, where we control the water alone. We'll make a lot of changes. Recently, if you remember, there was this incident in Burkina, where our women went to buy tomatoes. And at cabinet, the president said, look, let's take agriculture seriously. I see the statistics, and it shows that we are making significant progress. But if we can work together, and sometimes you do it even at your own local community. As part of my mandate, I have green transition. So I sat down and I said, what can I do to also support agriculture? And I realized something. We have these huge pumps. Those pumps uses irrigation, solar. Others do solar with battery-backed solar, and it becomes very expensive. People farm in daytime or in the afternoons or daytime. So we've rolled out a program where we are installing huge solar water pumps on the Black Volta. And that is where I have to collaborate with you and your institution to see how we can work together. I can secure the funding. We are installing the solar pumps. We are installing the solar panels. Daytime when the sun shines, pump the water and use it. Nighttime, let's go. But I'm looking at the technology. We'll collaborate together, do this pilot project and see how we can roll it over and extend it to other areas so that we become food secure.
Director of Wawisa UDS, Professor Felix Abagali, highlighted some of the center's successes.
Chairman, over the period, we've trained over 142 students from 26 African countries at the master's and PhD level. We have also trained those capacity of just a little up to 1,000 participants in terms of short course training in different areas. And this also cuts across the African continent. Our presence doesn't only therefore stay within the Nyankola campus or the University for Development Studies or the country, but we have presence in 26 African countries, aside our partners from Europe, Asia, and the rest.
Dr. Charles Abugri of the International Development Economics Associates, who spoke on the team, talked of the challenges facing water bodies in Africa.
These proliferations have crippled the members of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, even while one of the greatest tragedies of global warming is unfolding in the Lake Chad Basin, where the drama of climate crisis is starkly visible. Lake Chad is dying. Landsat images from all sorts of places have shown that Lake Chad has shrunk within a 30-year period from a 25,000 square kilometer area to less than 2,000 square kilometers today.
Well, a joint study by the University for Development Studies and the University for Southampton finds that nearly 80% of respondents identify water shortages as the top environmental stresses, with extreme heat waves, flooding, and extreme cold as ranking high. The survey captured community perceptions show 79% cited water scarcity, 70.7% extreme heat, 61.6% flooding, and 58.2% extreme cold. These findings underscore the urgent need for climate action and mitigation strategies in northern Ghana.
Northern Ghana is emerging as a vulnerable hotspot for climate change in West Africa, with rising temperatures, erratic rainfall, and more frequent droughts and floods. A new study in 4 districts by the 2 universities revealed communities are aware of the growing trend, citing impacts on water scarcity, health, and nutrition. Co-principal investigator and lecturer at the University for Development Studies, Professor Victor Mogre, said the residents are concerned about climate change.
They believe that climate change is there, it is a reality, and that it also affects their health. We had over 70% of them actually saying that climate change has an impact on their health, especially in relation to malnutrition, in relation to infectious diseases. They also identified some of the causes of climate change, or what they perceive to be the causes of climate change, talk about the fact that tree cutting, deforestation, bush burning as some of the factors. But another thing that also came up, which came up so strongly, was that we had over 65% of them saying that climate change is an act of God. It is God punishing us for the sins that we have actually committed.
He said the findings inform strategies to reduce the impact on vulnerable communities.
This is interesting in the sense that it gives us an idea as to where we can actually use, or the channel in which we can use to improve knowledge, attitudes and practices of around climate change and health. That if we use faith-based leaders, if we use the pastors, if we use the imams, if we use the traditional leaders, these are some of the ways that we can use to improve knowledge and attitude and practices around climate change.
A dietitian lecturer at the University for Development Studies, Patience Kanjirigi, said pregnant women are heavily impacted by the climate change.
They clearly identified pregnant women being vulnerable, lactating women, children, and then the poor. So there are also other studies we are looking at, trying to establish the pathways through which climate change affects or impacts on the health of women, which we can say maternal health. And from what we've presented, you can see that some of the way we feel climate change, like high temperatures of extreme heat, have an impact on the health of women, apart from them being uncomfortable, especially during pregnancy, where they are already generating heat internally. They also linked it to other physical symptoms, such as giving them headaches. We can talk about weakness, fatigue. All of this came up.
Well, Deputy Ambassador of Switzerland and Head of Cooperation, Janine Wilder, has said the true accountability of donor funding lies in its impact on people at the local level through effective service delivery. Speaking during a field mission to inspect funded projects and assess their impact in the Bono region, she noted that as development partners, they will continue to support and collaborate with systems that deepen decentralization and drive meaningful development. Precious Semevo has more.
The State Secretariat for Economic Affairs of Switzerland, SECO, and Germany's KfW have funded priority local infrastructure projects of over $65 million and disbursed over 43 million cedis for capacity building and logistics under the District Assembly's Common Fund Responsiveness Factor Grant Program implemented by the Local Government Ministry. The initiative has delivered over 10,000 basic infrastructure projects in the last 8 years to deepen decentralization and improve development in 261 assemblies. During a field mission in the Bono region, the donor partners engaged assemblies, chiefs, and project beneficiaries in the Sunyani West Assembly. Joseph Adaya Kwabwa is the Bono Regional Minister.
In the Bono region, we have fully embraced the principles underpinning the DACF-RFG. The projects implemented under this framework are carefully selected to respond to the pressing needs of our communities. They support improvement in infrastructure, in education, health, sanitation, and other essential services that directly impact the lives of our people.
Deputy Ambassador of Switzerland and Head of Cooperation, Janine Wilder, expressed satisfaction with the project and pledged collaboration with accountable systems that deepen decentralization and impactful development.
Construction, infrastructure, but then also to see how they are used by the smile of the kids, by the market woman, or by the chips compound where you see the patient coming in. For us, this is accountability, not to the government, not to development partners, but really accountability to the Ghanaian people, because we want to see at the end of the day in decentralization how service delivery improved for the whole community. So we are still ongoing, the program is running, and for us the key word is impact, utilization, see how the things are sustainable, and as soon as the systems are here, we are happy to continue the collaboration.
The Minister for Local Government, Ahmed Ibrahim, urged assembly heads to be transparent and accountable to complement the legacy term ambition of the president.
What you have seen here, go and start implementing it. The president is saying that this is 4-year period. It's a legacy term. He wants to leave monumental project, monumental legacy development project. He wants to raise the bar where no future president can come and lower it. So let's support the president, let's practice accountability, and let's practice transparency. Together, we can build the Ghana we want.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyai.
Well, the air we breathe could be silently making us sick, and regulators say industry is a major part of the problem. From cement factories to small workshops, emissions are adding to Ghana's growing pollution crisis. But the Environmental Protection Authority says it is fighting back with a new high-tech system to track pollution as it happens. My colleague Michael Ashali has more in the following report.
Air pollution remains one of Ghana's biggest public health threats, contributing to thousands of premature deaths each year. While vehicle emissions, open burning and biomass are often blamed, regulators say industrial activity is a significant contributor to the country's air quality problem. From large cement factories and food processing plants to small-scale carpentry and metal fabrication shops, emissions from industrial operations continue to impact the air in both major and growing communities. Selina Amwa is the head of the Air Quality Unit at the Environmental Protection Authority.
The sources of air pollution in the country has been identified as first from industrial activities. And industrial activities making reference to both the formal and the informal activities, industrial activities. So the formal ones that we know, that the big companies, the manufacturing companies, the food processing companies, the cement, those, and then the small artisanal undertakings too that springs up around the built-up area. They all impact on the pollution. For the industrial undertakings, for some of them, the industrial activity itself results in air emissions. Like if you take the cement industry, for instance, because it is gravels that is they are grinding. The grinding or the gravels itself generates emissions. Similarly, the wood processing industries, when they bring the timber and they have to cut into logs, and the sawmilling and all that results in the emission of some particulates.
Previous attempts to monitor the pollution had limitations. To tackle the problem, the Environmental Protection Authority has introduced a new real-time monitoring system designed to track industrial emissions as they happen instead of relying on delayed reports.
And the results that we get from industry is mostly passive. I mean that by the time they bring the results to us, the pollution episode would have passed. So as one of the measures to help address industrial pollution, we have introduced what we call the Ghana Online Continuous Emission Monitoring System. So this is a real-time monitoring from industrial operations, and that gives the pollution levels as and when the activity is going on. And that, we think, will help both the industry and the authority to better manage emissions or pollution that is coming from the industry, because you see it as and when it happens. So when you look at the results and then you see the spikes, you can quickly check what is causing the pollution level, and then the right mitigation measures is put in place to address those pollution spikes.
The EPA believes the system will strengthen compliance, improve accountability, and help reduce harmful emissions from industry. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by the Clean Air Fund, which had no say in the story's content. For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Religious Affairs Ahmed Ibrahim has completed the inspection of major development projects in the Ahafo region aimed at strengthening infrastructural accountability nationwide. The project, funded by the Swiss and German partners, spans critical sectors from healthcare delivery to digital education and have been widely hailed as a significant boost to rural decentralization and inclusive national development. Correspondent Emmanuel Edujemfi reports.
Supported by the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs and the German Development Bank, was more than just a walkthrough. It was a rigorous assessment of the district performance assessment tool in action. In Kumasi, a new CHIPS compound now stands as a primary healthcare hub equipped to handle maternal care and immunizations, featuring on-site housing to ensure nursing staff are available throughout the day. The delegation also visited Kenya's number 3 DA Basic School, where a modern classroom block is fully furnished with ICT equipment to bridge the digital divide for rural learners. Ahmed Ibrahim is the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Religious Affairs.
The essence of the tour is to make sure that we visit at least 1 or 2 or 3 randomly of the metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in Ghana to assess and evaluate how best they've put the money that has been sent to them into judicious use. They together have been supporting Ghana's decentralization program for a long period.
Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim revealed that over 980 million cedis has been pumped into local infrastructure over the last 8 years, resulting in over 10,000 projects nationwide. He emphasized that every cedi must translate into a better quality of life.
So the essence of this mission is to just come and do monitoring visit, assess how they are using the money, and listening to my sisters from Switzerland and Germany, clearly they are impressed. So I will therefore use this opportunity to thank the regional minister, the MMDCs in the Ahafo region, the members of parliament who are ex-official members of the Ahafo region, that you've discharged your duties and responsibilities very effectively.
The Ahafo Regional Minister, Charity Gardner, reaffirming the government's commitment to deepening decentralization, expressed gratitude to the development partners for selecting the Ahafo region as a beneficiary and highlighted how the District Assembly's Common Fund continues to support the construction of markets, lorry parks, and schools. Representatives from the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs and the German Development Bank thanked key stakeholders for ensuring value for money.
For us, it's really key actually to observe impact on the ground, to see how service delivery improves in the regions, to visit several districts to see what kind of projects have been financed by the District Assembly Common Fund, responsive factor grant, where we added some money to it. And we were really highly impressed on what we saw in today. There was a commitment by the whole community, be it the chiefs, the thought leaders, but also the teachers, the children, on creating a really nice infrastructure, but then also using it and making it work. And so we saw schools, we saw a chip compound, and we must say it was a great, great day to see that actually decentralization is working here.
The message from Kumasi and Kenya's number 3 is clear. Sustainable development relies on strong partnerships and even stronger accountability. Emmanuel Edujemfi, Kumasi in the Ahafo region for JoyNews.
Well, Member of Parliament for Wa West District, Peter Lanchene Tobo, has announced plans to construct 12 community-initiated kindergartens across the district. The project aims to ensure every community has access to early childhood education. He also pledged a monthly stipend for nursery instructors until the government absorbs the schools. The MP made the announcement during a monitoring tour of communities where he donated kindergarten furniture, supported health facilities, and commissioned boreholes. JoyNews' Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Janglu.
One of the major challenges faced by most basic schools in the country, particularly the kindergartens, is inadequate furniture to aid in quality teaching and learning. Most pupils at the basic level, particularly in rural communities, sits or lie on the bare floor during instructional periods. Others cramped sits on old weak benches for their studies. The lucky ones among them carry kitchen stools from their homes to the classrooms. The continuous awkward sitting posture of these young learners poses a serious health threat for them, as they are likely going to develop waist and spinal problems in the future. The Warwest district is no exception, as there are several schools, particularly kindergartens, dotted across the district, facing challenges with furniture. Kindergartens at Ga and Ponyentanga, located in the eastern corridor of the district, grapples on daily basis with no or inadequate furniture in their respective kindergartens, and has therefore appealed to the Warwest Member of Parliament, Superintendent Retired Peter Lenchine Tubu, to come to their aid, which he gladly responded to.
It is an eyesore that for all years, government never found necessary to equip schools with furniture. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has taken the conscious step that every year we procure some furniture to ensure that our schools are back to normal. The cages are down, the basic schools are down, and even the secondary schools are down in terms of furniture. But this is a personal donation that I'm doing to the Queen's RCKG for them to at least bridge the gap and wait for the procurement process to be complete. And when the furniture are supplied, and then we still have some to donate, we will also do that the other school.
Superintendent Retired Peter Lenchine Tubu used the opportunity to speak about the construction of 12 community initiative kindergartens that he is supporting, aimed at ensuring that every community in the district has a kindergarten.
In fact, I have informal labor to get support from the MP to construct these cages.
Thank the MP for the kind gesture.
The MP has done very well by giving us a furniture. So we are going to use it and make sure that the children use it well, so that the sitting problem will be a thing of the past for us.
The Warwest Legislature also inspected ongoing works of the construction of a 4-bedroom and 2-bedroom nurses' quarters at Ponyentanga and Ga respectively. He expressed optimism over the progress of work at both project sites.
The community came together and said, MP, if you can support us, we are going to give you free labor. So if you can give us some money, let's do something. Let's build some 2-bedroom apartment for our nurses. So we started about a year ago. And what you've seen behind is the power of communal spirit, supported by the Member of Parliament. But I think that today that I've come, I want to ensure that I nip it in the bud. So the 10,000 Ghana citizens and the 25 back to cement, I want to put in the next month or two, as you find nurses living in these quarters.
Well, Direct Aid Ghana is supporting 1,000 underprivileged Muslims with Ramadan relief. The organization has launched a nationwide campaign to assist the needy during the holy month of Ramadan, providing essential food supplies to vulnerable households. The initiative aims to ensure beneficiaries observe their fast with dignity, free from the burden of food insecurity. Officials say the intervention removes a critical barrier for those who struggle to secure meals to begin and break their daily fast. Ohimi Tewia reports in the following story.
As the sacred month of Ramadan begins, local charitable efforts are intensifying to support those in need across the world. Direct Aid has been supporting underprivileged Muslims with relief items to aid fasting during Ramadan. At least 1,000 people are earmarked to receive support as the group launch its annual relief program with the ambitious goal of supporting 1,000 people this month. Among them were the elderly, students and physically challenged persons who were selected after a need-by-need assessment. Zainuddin Mohammed Abubakar is an assistant administrator of the international NGO Direct Aid.
This is a sacred month of Ramadan. It's all about giving out to the needy. And we are doing so to help them in order to make it easy for them to do their fast. You know, most of them do not have what they will begin their fast with, and we are here to help them so that they will not be left out. And this is one of our annual programs that we do in order to help the less privileged to let them get their fast successfully. We are targeting 1,000 people.
The 2026 Ramadan program is part of long-standing tradition for the group, which has become a fixture in Kumasi Social Support Network. By targeting 1,000 beneficiaries, the organization hopes to create a ripple effect of relief across the city's most vulnerable neighborhoods. Some beneficiaries shared with Joy News how the gesture will impact their lives.
I'm a student here to benefit from the donations from Direct Aid. With this donation during this Ramadan, it's going to provide me with iftar and it's going to save me from spending a lot of money, especially being a student, and this is going to help me in a very, very long way. Yes.
a wo mo abeche ne mo we ama yenso ye ni ajepan ye do mo ase nyankopon nhira wo nyankopon ma mo mbɔ ho de chese na afi bia omo mbe ye ma ye nyankopon ma mo ahonde pa e ma ye nkwatenti ye ne omo de omo pe bia so nyankopon nyam ma omo.
Direct Aid, among others, donated 10 fully stocked provision shops to 50 deprived families. It also set up over 200 underprivileged persons in sewing, as it donated sewing machines and other items to support them. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohimenteria reporting.
Well, 90 years after its establishment, the Ganata Senior High School is celebrating its legacy while pushing ahead with a major infrastructure project. At the launch of its 90th anniversary in Accra, under the theme, 90 Years of Excellence in Education, Unlocking Minds, Nurturing Leadership, and Shaping the Future, the Old Student Association revealed that construction of a new auditorium is already underway, but only 20% complete, with a call for additional support to bring the project to fruition.
It was a moment of pride and reflection as alumni, students and staff gathered to launch the 90th anniversary of Ganata Senior High School. For many old students, the celebration is more than a milestone. It's a reminder of the legacy they inherited and the responsibility to sustain it. The president of Ganata Old Student Association, David Annan, says the association is currently constructing an auditorium to support academic and extracurricular activities in the school. He noted that while the government has competing priorities, any form of support would be welcomed.
Let me say that the percentage of completion is just about 20%, because we are raising our own money to do it. Okay, and we know that governments have been doing very well, but government cannot do everything. But if government comes in through any funding that for them to do that one for the school, I think it will be good. The auditorium is needed because it will serve several purposes. Having the people together, one big challenge, but unlike institutions that generate money, the school doesn't generate money. It is the students, the old students who contribute, and benevolent people who come in and give money to do things. So you cannot have a timeline to it. The population of the school is 4,928 students. But you can, when you go there, you see, it is not too good. But that notwithstanding, the teachers and the parents do well to make sure that their kids, as they bring them to the school, get the best of training.
School authorities also used the occasion to call for unity among past and present students, stressing the importance of collaboration in sustaining the institution's standards. The headmistress, Constance Amufa, encouraged alumni to help make the 90th anniversary celebrations a successful one.
It is my solemn expectation that this 90th anniversary launch will be the precursor of a successful anniversary program. Let us all play a pivotal role to make the occasion grand. Every contribution will count. Every effort will be meaningful.
As the school begins celebration of its 90th anniversary, stakeholders say the focus remains clear: strengthening infrastructure, nurturing leadership, and shaping generations for the future.
Well, that's all we have time for here on JoyNews Room. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more stories. My name is Carlos Caloni. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good afternoon.